Well, David mentioned the park land use maps, and those were maps that were done after construction of a section of parkway, and they detailed where the existing trees were, the forest edges, and then where shrubs, trees, grass bays were developed during construction of the parkway. And so it was a very, as I said earlier, it's a designed landscape. It was a very much a park, kind of a theme park, if you will, in that it was a contrived landscape to look, contrived, but yet it was done naturally. But there were a lot of open areas, where where the forest had been cut. The farming practices left a lot of the landscape very open. So the landscape architects had to think about how to create that driving experience. Some of the things they used, the road is a two-dimensional thing, and they wanted to accent and define the roadway in some areas. They used rock walls, much like we're looking at here, to help define the curvilinear nature of the roadway by lining the roads with rock walls. They did the same thing with guardrails and with fences. I mean, so a lot of thought was given to how the experience would be.
Well, in a lot of areas that you find those landscape features are indigenous features. You have a rock cut where rock was generated and used in the fill. And the fill material for the road, you had that excess rock that could have been culled through until you had sufficient quantity to do landscape features, and then that was used as part of the construction and to mimic the architectural character of the area.
Well, and during the 1930s, the National Park Service really had this movement towards rustic architecture. They wanted things in national park units to be natural. They used a lot of wood, a lot of rock and stone to make it look more natural, and that was really the theme on the Blue Ridge Parkway. If you look at the masonry walls that line the roads, you look at tunnel portals, you look at details on bridges on the parkway, they all carry out this rustic stone work to really make it look, and make it look more natural and to fit in. They did the same thing with the architecture. The architectural theme for the Blue Ridge Parkway really mimicked the farm structures adjacent to the parkway. It really picked up that whole theme. And then we've had a lot of conversations about Mission 66, which was a program by Congress and the administration to infuse the National Park Service with money to bring degraded facilities back to being in good condition, to add a lot of needed visitor centers and maintenance areas and residential units. I know David and I have talked a lot about Mission 66 in this park.
Well, and the push of that architecture wasn't necessarily architecture that mimicked the existing architecture in the area. You look at some of the new materials that were being utilized, some of the new roof lines and characters, and it's not what you would call organic and not necessarily what you're going to find in a vernacular architecture of the area.